careful. I've got divers in trouble 50 miles due west. Would you look at the size of that thing?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 action horror Into the Deep. The film is directed by Christian Sesma and it stars Scout Taylor Compton, Stuart Townsend, John Sader, Callum McGowan and Richard Dreyfus. Right, the film follows Scout Taylor Compton's character Cassidy. We see her initially as a young girl at the beginning of the film suffering trauma while she is swimming with her dad in the ocean. There is a shark attack takes place. She just survives and the father is killed. This obviously has caused her great trauma over the years. And as an adult, she decides to face her fears and go on like a boat trip abroad with her husband to kind of go diving and all that kind of stuff and try and face her fears. Her grandfather, Seamus, played by Richard Dreyfus, essentially has spent his time over the years encouraging her to kind of face her fears and that kind of stuff. However, when she gets out there on the ocean, they are attacked by pirates and forced to dive for some hidden treasure that's at the bottom of the ocean. However, these waters are also shark infested, which leads to grave danger for everyone. Right, what are my thoughts on Into the Deep? I had high hopes for this. I mean, I've always got high hopes for like shark movies. Most of them tend to disappoint or be underwhelming. And this kind of, there is some entertainment here with this. You know, I'm not going to pretend there isn't, because there is. There is some fun at the core of this film. There's a decent concept and an idea going on here, but ultimately it kind of fails to elevate itself to anything other than like an half-decent shark film. It's not memorable. It's not one that you'll probably ever want to really watch again. And I do think there's a missed opportunity here. Now, as soon as you look at this film, a shark film, and you see the name Richard Dreyfus, obviously you're going to think of Jaws. I understand why they put Richard Dreyfus in this film. For that very reason, you're going to think, oh, he was in Jaws. I wonder if it's going to be, you know, that type of thing. No, it's not. Richard Dreyfus is in much of this film in flashback scenes. When she's a young girl, you know, him basically just being her mentor and championing her, giving her long speeches about the ocean and facing her fears and that kind of stuff. And you get an occasional phone call between them during the film, sort of thing, him and Scout Taylor Compton. The film didn't need Richard Dreyfus. He's just a name on the poster, in my opinion, unfortunately, and that hurts to say because I'm a massive fan of Richard Dreyfus. I think he's an absolutely brilliant actor, and he's done some incredible films over the years. But the film doesn't need him, and he doesn't exactly give an enthusiastic performance, is the kindest thing I can say about it, really. So we didn't need that at all. And this is a shark film as well, where the sharks are really a secondary plot device. The main plot here is the pirates kind of taking over this vessel and forcing them to dive for what they've got at the bottom of the ocean, drugs or whatever it might be. But so that's like the main plot of the film. The sharks are just the danger in the water that kind of spices it up a little bit. So it's not real. I mean, I understand why it's there, because you do get a lot of arguments like, how are you supposed to get people in the water in a shark film when, you know, you're going to get your legs bunched and what have you. Well, they have to. They don't have any choice. They have to get in the water. They're being forced to get into the water by these pirates, these mercenaries, sort of thing. So that kind of gets, you know, kind of does that. The effects for the sharks and stuff are hit and miss, I think it's fair to say. There is some half-decent shots of shark brutality sort of thing and lots of blood and stuff, but there's also some dodgy CGI going on as well that reminds you that this is a film lacking a budget. But, you know, I've seen worse, I think. Yeah, it's fair to say. I think the performances are all of a decent standard. Scout Taylor Compton's always reliable. Stuart Townsend, you know, absolutely fine. He kind of plays like the friend of the husband, and he kind of runs the boat. And then you've got the pirate played by John Cedar, the head of the pirates. Again, fine. It's just a pantomime villain performance. I think some of the more bigger issues I have with this film, and are not so much that, because it's a fairly simple plot beyond all that. They do bog it down, whether it's a Dreyfus stuff and what have you, and the film didn't need that. But I think they also make some daft decisions here as well. I mean, she's supposed to be kind of facing her fears, Scout Taylor Compton's character. And then when she sees like a shark cage on the boat, she loses her shit. She goes mental. She's like, "Oh, what's that for? Nobody said there was sharks here, or you know, nobody said we were going to be doing this and going down in a cage for sharks." And you know, understandably, she's got trauma with sharks. He's like, no, don't worry about it. We're not using that. I just use that for tourists sometimes. So I'm kind of thinking, hang on. So there has to be sharks in them waters because he's got a shark cage, yeah? She then reveals later in the film that she's some kind of expert on the ocean, Scout Taylor Compton's character. So she'd know what was in them waters. And then everybody seems so surprised when the sharks turn up. And I'm like, are these people imbeciles? Okay, it might be unusual for a shark this size to be swimming in these waters, and they give a whole spiel on that. But clearly, it's not unusual to have sharks in them waters, because he's got a shark cage on his boat. I'm sorry, but it's that kind of stuff them little details that they do in films that I think they think people are stupid, and they don't take them on board. Those are the sort of things that wind me up on movies like this. They don't need to be doing that sort of thing and over-explaining or whatever. It doesn't make sense. And then you've got the whole usual spiel, you know, the underwater shots. You know, they're half decent, but there's an attack early on in the film where one of them gets attacked by this shark. And you've got no idea who it is. Because everybody looks the same under the water. Not a clue what's going on. It all gets a bit chaotic, and it's like, okay, who's that? No idea, sort of thing. It feels like a messy film that didn't need to be as messy as they made it. Yeah, there is at the very core of it, you know, a fun concept, a fun idea. I've seen shark films like this before. Plot devices very, very similar to this. I saw one, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I forget the name because I've seen that many shark films, where very, very similar plot where, you know, they're forced to kind of dive to get these drug traffickers, you know, drugs at the bottom of the ocean. So it's a very, very similar storyline to what I've seen before. It's even got a title that I've seen, Into the Deep. I think there's at least 2 or 3 other shark films with that title over the last 2, 3, 4 years. So it's quite an uninspired title. It's not really what I would describe as an original story. It's done to kind of at a level that you can kind of put your feet up, watch, and you know, find some enjoyment in it. But it's also, there's going to be moments in it where you kind of like scratching your head and going, why have they done that? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, I can't lie, I am a bit disappointed with this one, but that seems to be the norm these days for shark movies. I can't remember the last time I watched one and thought it was belting. You know, I couldn't name one from the last 5 years that I've watched and reviewed on this channel that I think is, yes, you absolutely need to see that, it's essential. I just don't think they're capable of doing it these days, and they all live in the shadow of Jaws, which is unfortunate for them, but hopefully one day we'll get one that just absolutely blows our minds. But trust me guys, this one isn't it. So thanks for joining me guys. Please don't forget to like the video, lots of comments, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and I will be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.